Hello, my name is Noel Landeros, and this presentation is entitled College is Possible No Matter What Language You Speak. This presentation is directed towards you guys, the students of the Myanmar Learning Center, and I want you guys to acknowledge the fact that college is in your future, that you're in the path towards college right now with the commitment to develop your English learning is the commitment to having college in your future. And I want you guys to know that this journey, this struggle to learn English well, is not for nothing. It's going to materialize into something bigger in the future, whether that be in the form of a trade school, in technical college, um, whether that be in a university. It's all the same, and it's all gonna come in the future with due time. And I want you guys to know that first and foremost before I start this presentation. Second of all, the contents of this presentation consists of three parts. The first part being we're gonna focus more on the identity aspect of this. Uh, your first language or your second language or whatever, the other language that you speak that's not English, it's part of your identity. And disregarding it in this journey of learning English is it disregards also the whole student, you the student, and your identity in general. You know, we'll talk more about it in the coming slides. But in the second section, we will talk about how kind of the same that being multilingual is a gift, that you should use that gift to your advantage. And we'll talk more about specifics on how you can use your first language and translate it into English learning. So we'll talk more about specifics there, and kind of skills that you could take from other people that have done this before. The third and final section, we'll talk about how college is possible and how people before you have accomplished this feat of going into college, having English being their second language that they learned. And we'll talk about some people that have inspired me in my personal life and my personal journey into college in general, and some advice that you should take on away from this presentation. All right, so let's start this presentation. And first of all, I want to acknowledge that it starts with the teachers. The teachers are an instrumental part in your English learning. And with that responsibility that the teachers have, teachers must help create an environment that fits the needs of the students. Every student is different, and the teacher has to be cognizant of this difference with each student. But for the teacher to know these differences that the students have, you guys, the students, have to be vocal about your needs. You gotta also acknowledge that the teacher can't know what you need in order to succeed just off the bat. You have to know how to talk to the teacher. You have to know how to express what you need in a manner that the teacher will know how to deal with it. And and I know it may be hard, with you not knowing English uh, in the capacity that the teacher may know it, but try your best. It all starts with confidence, you know, and this also kind of relates to the second point where the teacher has to know how to promote linguistic diversity. Uh, each student comes from a different linguistic background. Some students speak Spanish at home. Some students speak Burmese at home, Hmong at home, uh, and some students very well speak English at home. But the the teachers have to be cognizant and have to know these differences within the students to further be aware on how to help them, kind of develop their education in a way that has college as a viable thing in the future. Uh, Not only do they have to promote linguistic diversity, they have to also promote the diversity that each student has. You know, each student also comes from different situations, different home lives, different family life. This all further entails that diversity is a very important factor in education, and that the teachers have to be very much aware of all of this and how this happens in their classrooms. And this next quote is taken from Noah Barrero's study, and it goes like this: the need to consider bilingual youngsters' language talents at school, and others view students' linguistic backgrounds as a part of their funds of knowledge. So not only do you guys, the students, have to know that your your bilingual peers, or you as bilinguals, you know, you guys have to know that these talents are very much talents. That these are assets that you can use in your education, and your peers have to know that as well. So this is why it's very important for the teachers to promote this, linguistic diversity, to for you guys to be able to, promote and be vocal about what you need in the classroom. It's very helpful to have peers that know about and who know about what you struggle with, to know about you know, your background, everything. It's important for you to advance in your education. Maybe it won't be, you know, the the deal breaker. They'll very much help you in the long run. Long run, to advance and make this process a lot easier. Secondly, almost like how we've been mentioning, being multilingual, being bilingual, knowing another language is a gift, and you must use it as such. To help, and you have to help elevate yourself using this language to help develop your English language learning. And I took another quote from Barrero, and this one is a lot different from the last quote. This one says, "Explore your ideas in a way that naturally reflect how your ideas are formed." So I picked this quote mostly because I thought the duality is a lot more interesting to talk about. You know, you guys, express your words in a different way that you kind of generate them. You might express your words in English, or in the whatever uh, whatever language that you speak. Maybe your brain speaks another language. Maybe you talk in English, but your brain just works in a different language. Maybe you speak Spanish for some students. Maybe speaks Burmese for you guys, or Hmong, or some Tibetan language. But maybe your brain works in a different way than other students, and that's why it's very important to be vocal, so that the teacher knows how to deal with the ways that your brain can learn the English language. And this is also a time for you guys to learn how to learn the English language as well. You guys have to help yourselves to learn the English language as well. And if that means using the language that you already know well, then so be it. There's no shame in that. Use what you know already. Everything that you have in that brain, it's fair game to learn English. Um, and one way that you can help yourself learn English is by using translanguaging. And you might be out there and might be thinking, is this even a word? What is this? I've never heard of this. And to be fair, this is mostly referred as an academic term that refers to the way emergent bilinguals communicate and make meaning through the intermixing of their various linguistic repertoires. So basically, to use a brief example, if someone speaks Spanish and English, uh, you know, the student uses the phonetics that they know from Spanish to help them with the spelling that they use in English. So, for an example, in the next slide, we have an example from a student that wanted to write. One day, I was going to the cabañas and I went ice skating and I couldn't skate, so my dad helped me and I feel better. Happy, excuse me. So, cabañas, that's the Spanish translation to cabin. So, this the student just didn't know how to write cabins or they didn't know the translation, so they just put cabañas, and that's fine. That's one way to use translanguaging. The other way is the phonetic way, and this student also wrote it this way. So this is what the student wrote to spell the phrase. One day I was going to the cabañas, and I went ice skating, and I couldn't skate, so my dad helped me, and I feel happy. Obviously, this doesn't sound exactly like how it should, but maybe the student was doing it, off the sound of the ear, phonetically. What the student was hearing, the student was writing down, and that's fine. Okay, that's okay too. You learn, uh, you do make mistakes, and you learn. And that's a valid way to learn the English language or any language for that matter. So we have another example in the next slide. It's a lot simpler, uh, a lot shorter, but it has the same meaning. This student was trying to write the two puppy run away. Okay, the student wrote phonetically the two puppy run away. So you could obviously see that this student already knew that the was spelled the. So they spelled it the. They spelled two wrong, obviously, but they spelled it how they heard it. They probably already knew that there was a duality in how you spell two. That there's the to, there's the too, there's a two, how you see it represented in the lower part. Um, so they knew that. But they spelled it two in the wrong way, which is fine too. That's how you learn, grammar and everything. Puppy, puppy. They spelled it pop. Obviously, this is not how you spell puppy, but phonetically in Spanish, pop is pop. So obviously, this student was who spoke Spanish spelled it phonetically in Spanish and added the e because they knew that e had made the e sound. Puppy. Uh, so it makes sense. It makes sense that they made this mistake, this error, but you understand this anyway, which is fine. Ran is obviously in the past tense. That's all right. And the same situation with the away. They did the Spanish phonetics for the English spelling, which is fine. You guys can use this for the languages that you speak. You can use the phonetics that you use for your native language, for your first language, to help you learn English, and that's totally okay. Now on to the next slide. We're gonna start this third section of the presentation. College is possible, and I'll give you some examples of people. First example I'll give you is from a student from the University of Oregon. His name Win Min. He was featured in the University of Oregon video, and we'll see what he has to say about his college experience.
I grew up in a small village in Myanmar, which you can't even find on a map. At 11 years old, I had to drop out of school to help my parents on their farm. Soon after, I left home to find a job. It's been 19 years since I left my village. Nobody, including myself, imagined I would be where I am now. On April 27, 2008, a tropical cyclone hit my country and killed 138,000 people. So I coordinated the relief efforts. I gathered volunteers and raised money to buy resources, took food and medicine to people who lost their homes. I grew up with a strong sense of community. Seeing the devastation caused by the storm inspired me to continue my education and learn about the humanitarian work and the public policy. My name is Win Min, and I'm graduating from the University of Oregon with a degree in planning, public policy, and management. I'm going to miss this campus. Some trees on campus remind me of my village. As a child, I always felt comfortable when I was climbing trees. People in our village grow rice, beans, and wheat as our livelihood. I used to harvest garbanzo beans to pay for my school uniform. Most people in my village lived their entire lives only knowing farming and living happily with what they have. We didn't have much, but we didn't care. Our village only had one TV that we all shared. We didn't see cars near our village until recently. I was a poor boy working on a farm. 19 years later, I'm the first person in my family to get a college degree. My journey has been long, tough, and lonely. It's been 19 years since I left my village. Oh, really?
So you saw the experience that Win Min had in his, in the University of Oregon, how he was inspired through the hardships his village faced in, in Myanmar, and you saw that these people, his experience can be very much similar to yours. You could use your own experience to further motivate yourself to continue your higher education. I know I do. And I know that it will very much motivate you to use your own experience. And just to give a number out, over 12,000 Burmese students have graduated from the years 2006 to 2012. So in that 6 year period, 12,000 students from Burma graduated. You guys, uh, you guys being mostly from Burmese descent, from Myanmar, your parents may be from Myanmar. You yourself might very well be from Burma. You guys can add on to this statistic. It's very easy to do that. That's to continue your higher education, to continue learning the English language for your own uh, benefit. This won't benefit anyone else other than yourself. You know, from a study that Turbo made, I wanted to speak more about the hardships that these people may face. You saw in the video that Win Min had hardships in his village, and that this further motivated, as we spoke, further motivated himself to continue his studies for public policy and all of that. And most students, according to this study, think that English is the biggest enemy in life. In quotes, I think English is my biggest enemy in life. That may be very well the case in your situation, your guys' situation. English is very hard to learn. It's one of the most it's one of the hardest languages to learn. You know, you know, later on in life, and you guys are all in middle school and elementary school and in high school. Some of you, so I know how hard it might be to start from scratch and learn a whole new language, especially English language. And you gotta deal with the fact that homework is in English. You have to learn English to do your homework because you can't, as much as you use your other language, you have to ultimately turn it in English. Also, later on when you go to college, you'll need to turn in lots of documents that will only be uh, acceptable in English, and that's with financial aid and FAFSA. And I'm sure all of you will need financial aid Everybody needs financial aid in general. Class registration in universities in the United States are in English, and also residence life applications, as to a lot of more examples, are in English, and this may be troublesome for some of you who may not know. And that's why you should start learning English and start to dominate the English language right now, right now, because it will benefit you later on. You can help your parents, with the documents that they receive. You guys can help them with government documents, with uh, with documents from the mail that comes from the mail, uh, all that stuff. You guys can help your parents. You guys can help your family members. You guys can help the people around you. You guys can help yourselves uh, later on. And if you start now, you'll be very better off in the future. That's for sure. And for the last slide here, I wanted to talk more about an example that is connects more to my life, and I want to share with you guys as me as your volunteer, uh, giving you advice. So, what year was this? In it was on my junior year, 2000. It would be 2018. Uh, I was presented the opportunity to go into a Hispanic convention. It was nationwide in Bellarmine High School in San Jose, California. So us being in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we had to take a flight to San Jose, and in that convention, in that conference, I got the opportunity to see Francisco Jimenez speak. I think what he has to say was what he had to say was very inspiring, not only for me, but it may serve well for you guys to know this as well as you embark on your journey to higher education, as you make decisions for yourselves uh, that maybe your parents, maybe that your family have not had to make in the past. You know, so a little bit about Francisco Jimenez. He is an immigrant to the United States. Uh, he was from Mexico. He immigrated when he was 4 years old, uh, and he worked in the fields. He also went to school as he worked with his in the fields with his family to help gain some money. Um, so and it was very trouble for him to not only learn English but to balance his studies with his work. But now in 2019, he's a retired obviously, but he's in 2016, as early as 2016, he's a respected university professor, and he's also a world-renowned author. So this shows that you could start from the very bottom and arrive at the very top. Being an academic and a world-renowned author, that's the peak of knowing English and mastering the English language. And and in this convention that I went to in 2018, he had some words to say to the Hispanic body that he was presenting who he was presenting to. And I think this will serve well for you guys. Now, I did take notes on this on his presentation. Unfortunately, in the hotel there, I left it there as we left, so I don't have those notes with me today, or else I would have had them to share with you guys. But I don't, unfortunately. But it was along the lines of he had to say to Hispanic people, because I am from Hispanic, ancestry. My parents are from Mexico, so I can kind of relate to you guys to you guys' situations, but not directly. Well, he had to say, with the dynamics of being white and not being white, what was strictly considered as white. There's you go to college in a different place to get away from your family. You move into that place and you start a life there. That's traditionally what is said to be the white culture, what's expected from them. But just because that's expected from white, generally white families, he was very adamant on that the fact that we should not be afraid to venture out and do things outside the norm for you and your family. And by this, I wanted to kind of clear it up a little bit. There may be some, cultural differences between your family's culture and the United States culture, and that's fine. There will be that struggle. There will be that conflict between the two. But what Francisco Jimenez wanted to, give out to the people was that don't be afraid to break barriers, to do your own things, to make your own decisions. These decisions that you're making have not been dealt with in your family before, and you have to, you know, make a mark and start these traditions in your family. You gotta do what you have to do for your own being. Do not be afraid to make your own decisions. That kind of rang to me because my family are from a small village. I might say in Mexico. They were farmers there, and they didn't know much about university. Of course, there was a university an hour and a half away from their little village in Guadalajara, but that was it. That was all the universities that they were exposed to. Now here in the United States in the 21st century, you have access to all the universities in the country, and it's fine to move away from your family if you want, if you truly need to advance your education, only to advance your education, to advance your life of English learning, to advance your life of education in general. And I just wanted to leave that out there for you guys in the future to know that it's okay to have it, and it's normal to have that conflict in your mind that, oh, this hasn't been done, that means I shouldn't do it. No, it does not mean that you shouldn't do it. You know, having count, having account what you need to do for yourself. These decisions have not been dealt with before in your family, uh, and you have to make the right judgment call for yourself. So that's all I have for this presentation. Thank you very much, and yeah, uh, thank you.